Ready for the departure brief?
Go ahead.
And hello everyone. So, once again, sorry about the lack of videos. Some personal things came up in December that I didn't quite get out a video before Christmas like I would have wanted to. Took some vacation time, went and visited family. Hope everyone had a nice, wonderful Christmas and New Year's. And, well, in short, I'm going to say welcome to winter. Because what's going on today is January 23rd, and there is a huge storm going off of the East Coast right now. As you can see, we're in the Q400. We're loading up passengers, and we are going to be going to John F. Kennedy International Airport. This flight in real life was actually canceled because the weather is just absolutely terrible right now. So with that in mind, we're actually going to be doing it anyways, I guess. We're in the ground at Toronto Airport, just kind of off of the small airport wing. A couple more dashes. Nice little Air Canada ad. Probably saw it in a sec. There goes nice little train to downtown Toronto. Got the baggage loading up. I did do a little bit of in-flight setup. And so as per usual, we'll go right into the cockpit and get started. And there's that nice Q400 music. With that, so we've already got the parking brake set. I'm just going to go over what I already have set up. I have our route set up today. We're going... I'll try and figure out how to post the flight route down below in a fancy manner. I don't have the arrival in yet. As for fuel, we are taking 7,180 pounds of fuel, all with plenty of reserves. Right now our weight is 63571. Our zero fuel weight is 56931 today. We're pretty much full up on passengers and just about pretty much maxed out on cargo too. So, you know, we're a couple 100 pounds underneath our cargo limit, but regardless, we're right at the limits of our takeoff mass, landing mass, and zero fuel mass. So, going to be quite a heavy flight into John F. Kennedy today. Yeah. So, let's just do a little bit of initial setup, and then we'll go over our flight plan. So, right now, let's just quickly look at the circuit breakers. Everything looks good on that side and that side. You know, since they are actually modeled now, probably a good idea to check them. Gear lever is down, radar is off. Master battery and auxiliary switches. Main bus tie is tied. External power is on. Master battery is on as well. Position lights will turn on there. Engine intake bypass heaters will open these up. We will also turn the... Do I turn the window heat on now? Sorry, it's been a little... Last time I flew the Q400, it wasn't my last video, so probably a little bit rusty. No. So flight deck displays are on. Emergency brake is set. Standby pumps are off. FMSs are initialized. And we'll put the nav sources over to pink needles. I have to cross-fill the flight plan and fuel. And I am also in prepared version 3.1. I did do that update. There's plenty of videos out there how to do the update without having to reinstall absolutely everything, so I'm not going to go over that, but just know that I did do that. And so let's do the ordinating check bits. Landing gear, alternate landing gear looks good. Hatch is closed. Oxygen masks are present. And the side vents are open. The altimeter today is 3013. I didn't quite set that correctly. I was playing around with the weather. So what we'll finish off what I was looking at. Battery switches are required. DC generators 1 and 2 are on. Main bus tie is tied. Airframe mode select is off. Engine intake doors are open. Reference speed is off. Pitot static switches are all off. Propeller ice protection is off. Boot air is normal. Window heat is off. Wipers are off. Pilot side window heat is also off. But all the shiny switches are off. PFD altimeter units is fine. ELT, not going to worry about the flight recorder. We'll just do some fire tests quickly. Looking good there. Everything looks good there. Lighting is fine. AP we're going to leave off. Engine start switches are in normal. Cabin altitude is in auto. Air conditioning is fine, I believe. So come down here. Spoilers are in taxi. We'll just wrong screen. Come up here. I think that we need AC power for that, but that's fine. Everything else looks good to me. So, like I said, we'll just go over our V-speeds right now. So we're going to be taking... So, actually I'll go over the V-speeds when we're looking at the charts. So, let's pull them up. So here's the chart. So we're currently parked at gate 109. And so what we're going to do is we're going to taxi around over here. And then we're going to come out on Alpha. And we're taking off of 24 right. So we'll just go slightly out here. So again, we're coming out at Alpha Kilo. We're going to take down Alpha, turn left onto Delta, and then come out onto 24 right. Right, at which point, and so our V-speeds for this departure is going to be V1 in a rotate speed of 134, sorry, a V2 speed of 135 knots, flap reduction speed of 145, and a climb out speed of 157. And we're going to be taking the Kepto 1 departure. Let's just flip that around and zoom in here. So we'll be coming off of this pair of runways here. So I'm going to turn to a heading of 235, which we will vector ourselves to Savior. Come out at Reekman. We're going to the Banff here. Our transition level of 18,000 feet, as is standard in the very least Canada and the US. I believe it's North America in general, but don't quote me on that. And then we'll be en route. And like I said, nothing really exciting. We're offline, so I'm not going to worry about ATC and the radios here. But let's jump back in the car. Alright, so GSX is boarded. What we'll do now is we'll start the APU. start weaning ourselves off power. I always love the Q400 music. Yeah, and so going forward, as far as flights go, start the generator there. I think I'm going to try and do monthly flights at the very least. I want to try and do every other week, but we'll see how well that goes. I unfortunately don't have as much free time as I would like most of the time, but that's the way it goes, I guess. What's really going to be... What I'm also thinking about doing is I'm also thinking about starting a blog. I don't have anything set up yet, but just somewhere where I can post some basic troubleshooting, just some of my thoughts about what's happening in the flight sim community as well. So stay tuned for word on that. I may or may not decide to back out on that, but we'll see. Because there's just a lot, like, I'm in a couple different communities, in a couple different places, and there's a couple of things I wish I could, resources I wish I could just link to, rather than typing out how I feel or my opinions on how to go about things. But smaller annoyances. However, we have the APU started, the ground power is now gone, so let's button up the doors. Everyone is on. Main exit closing. We'll also get the baggage door closed. What I'm going to do is I'm going to start to get GSX ready. There's actually... I'm actually going to do some de-icing treatment here at the gate, mainly because I want to try out and see some new textures I got from FSFX packages. It's freeware, and it replaces the de-icing. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to close off the engine intakes for de-icing. And then once they come around, we'll continue on. However, so fasten seatbelt signs can come on, no smoking signs can come on. There's the de-icing truck. So let's go take a look at these new fancy textures. So trucks are coming around in position there. Something happening in my apartment building there. Oh well. Sorry about the background noise. Oh, they got little fluid levels. I think that's... well, that's what it would seem like to me. Just do fluid type 1. Don't really know the difference between fluid types, but yeah, those actually do look kind of nice. Nice soft clouds almost, which is what you would expect. Neat. And so these de-icing trucks come with GSX now. Once again, this is FSFX packages, freeware. They also do have some nice payware. So I have their Precip FX package, which is going to be, which we're probably most definitely going to be seeing in New York. It replaces the default rain and snow textures, so that way they don't look as terrible either. Well, that was fun. Well, he's getting out of here, so we'll go back into the cockpit. Alright, so where were we? Seatbelt signs were on, emergency lights are armed. Beacon goes to red. Logo light can stay off. So we'll be doing the engine start after the pushback is complete. Beacon is on, doors are closed, APU bleed air is off, and engine number 2 is clear. So we'll turn those back on. And now we're pretty much just waiting for pushback. I probably could have just circled out to the right there, because that's what I was originally planning on doing. Oh well. And once again, we're offline, so the squawk code is fine as is. Gonna put the terrain on this display. Turn the first officers back to nav, and we're gonna put the weather on his. Weather radar is currently off, but we'll move up to standby. For some reason, the GSX voices are quiet. Don't know why, but oh well. We're going to be doing a flaps 5 takeoff. I don't know if I mentioned that earlier. Yeah, so just waiting for the pushback. Well, GSX seems to be pushing us into a blast shield, so we'll just stop here. Yeah, we're gonna pretend we're not in the blast shield. I was expecting us to push us back onto this runway here, but I guess the file thinks it's back on the road there. Whoops. Oh well. Such is life with GSX sometimes. Alright. So with that, we will start engine 2. So we see some N1 rotation. So what we'll do is we'll put fuel in there. So this is actually managed by the onboard computer, so I don't have to worry about timing or anything. And there's starter cutout. Oil temperature is rising, so go to 1, start engine 1, N1 rotation, give it some fuel.
We would kindly ask you to contact us first. For takeoff and landing, these devices must be switched off, and the cellular phones may not be used during the entire flight. We wish you a pleasant stay on board.
Alright, and there's a starter cutout. Just wait for things to stabilize a little bit. Yeah, everything looks good to me there, so what I'm going to do is we're going to go props 900. And we will continue moving on. So condition levers are at max. What we'll do is we will cut out the APU. Main bus tie can come off of doors. So the pitot, those can come on there. Windshield warm can come to warm up. Wiper can stay off. Boot air is normal. Props anti-ice is not required, so we're good there. Bleed switches go to minimum. Bleeds can come on. Air conditioning and circulation can come to on as well. And so we come down here. Fuel pump switches can come on. Hydraulic switches can come on. What we'll do is we'll just look at number 3 quickly, make sure the pressure rises. It does, so we will close that. So flap selector, we will be doing flaps 5. Gust lock is in, props are max. Radios are good. We will turn on the TCAS there. I'm happy with the displays. Nose steering is on as well. Radar standby. MFDs are set to nav. Transponder is on. Engine power rating is on. MTOP. NTOP is what we're going to be doing. I lost my position on the page. Hydraulic pumps have been checked. Device pressure has been checked. So what we'll do is we'll... don't really need the taxi light out here today. I believe the strobes are on as well. Position lights are on red position light. Exterior lights are on red. Yeah, those all look good. So, I won't torture you guys with the long taxi, so I will see you guys out there. Alright, so we're starting to come up to the runway here. Start to slow down my taxi a little bit. We'll take this one. What I'm actually going to do is I'm actually going to stop here for a minute so I can run through some checklists. Just set the parking brake for a minute. So, let's notify those flight attendants. Terrain radar display is as required. We'll turn on the weather display now as well. Everything should be good. Yeah, just some... oh, there are some scattered clouds. Might end up needing some anti-ice after takeoff, but we'll worry about that then. Transponder is on. Control lock is now free. Switches can come on. That goes to white. Auto feather is on. Condition levers are max. Bleeds are on. Well, that's after takeoff. Ice protection is as required. Bleeds as required. Lights are on. So, we'll go out. TCAS looks clear. Visually clear. So, we'll go out onto the runway and take off. So the winds have kind of changed on me a little bit. What I'm actually going to do quickly is a couple units of right rudder. Pay attention to where I'm taxiing. Well, that worked out nicely, though. Oh, too far. It's okay, we got plenty of runway. Alright, so we'll put that into taxi. And we will throttle up. Airspeed is alive. Knots. And there's rotate.
Traffic.
Yeah, someone's at the other end of the runway. Positive rate gear can come up. I didn't set up any of the autopilot or the yaw damper. That one probably will explain a little bit there anyways. What we'll do is we'll do indicated airspeed, navigation, just to give us a little bit of a heading bump. Someone's coming in on the other side there. So what we'll go is we'll go direct to Vivet. We're going to extend the leg a little bit just so we clear that guy. Well below our cruising altitude, so I'm not worried about that. Nice view of Toronto there. What I'm actually going to do is I'm going to kick in the autopilot. So I actually also forgot to set our cruise altitude. Whoops. Nothing critical though. Just quickly pull up my flight plan here. Probably not very high, but cruising at 22. Distance to go. Indicated airspeed. Well, probably should have looked at this a little bit better. Well, anyways. I forgot to set that, so what I'm actually going to do is just set 10,000 in there for now. So that way we'll start to level off at 10,000. What I'll do is I'll bring the flaps in. So that... everything looks good there to me. So what we'll do is we'll just continue on, and I will see you guys on the other side. And well, I hope you all enjoyed the cruise. I'm just re-recording the approach charts because I made some errors when I was recording previously. Mainly, I wasn't actually showing the charts. So this is what the plan is going to be at this stage. So we're coming in the IGN 1, or the Kingston 1 arrival, which brings us pretty much just simple left turn, and then a recommended 3,000 feet for LaGuardia. This is going to be our goal for this departure. Then if we move over to the terminal charts here, originally when I started planning this flight, the winds were favoring 3-1. The winds were out of 3-0. So this would have made sense. However, the winds have since shifted over to 0-4 almost directly. So that's what we'll do for the arrival. We're going to park around Terminal 7, somewhere around there. Or so, we'll probably vacate in the middle here, depending on how much I float it. Exit onto probably Alpha or Bravo. There's arrows giving you direction, but again, we're doing simulation, and I'm not taking this video too seriously because we're doing a canceled flight. This is more just to see how terribly I end up flying this, more than anything. So we'll come around here, park around here, or I'm going to try to park around here, and that'll make a nice simple exit. So let's go look at our approach chart for 04 left. So come in at an initial fix of 045. I've at 2,000 feet at our roque, and then a 3-degree glide slope down to the runway. So we should be at 1,500 feet for Kirstel. I think that's how you pronounce it. And then if we miss it, the safe altitude is 2,000 feet until we intercept the VOR, and then 3,000 feet, 045, 062 outbound from Kennedy. This is more just so you guys know how to read these charts. Because we're offline, I would probably do some self-vectoring around back to the initial fix. But that's the beauty of being offline. ILS frequency is 110.9. That is the Morse code there. I typically don't identify the Morse code. I find the beeping annoying. Personal preference. Runway length is 3,400 feet long at 12 degrees altitude. I believe that's altitude. That's what I've been running off of. Hope if you know otherwise, please feel free to correct me. Cat 1 minimums is 230. We are Cat 3 equipped, so we might dip a little bit below this, but we're going to try not to. If you're doing the localizer 460, but the ILS approach is what we shall be doing. So that sums that up about fairly well. Let's see how well this plays out. And alright, so we're now closer to the top of descent here. We're 8 miles out, 1 minute. I've decided to leave it at 3,000 feet because that's what the charts suggest. If we pull this up, we can kind of see that there is a fair bit of a leg here, so we should have no problem. We should have no problem losing that altitude. I've switched the weather display to here. Clouds are finally starting to thicken up a fair bit here. So with that, let's actually start going through some of the approach checklists. So I've armed VNAV down to 3,000 feet. What I'm going to do now is I'm actually going to turn on the anti-ice now and increase the reference speed, because that is going to be fun. So, and I'm also just going to pull up your Aurora sim here, and we'll get some landing speeds. And we'll do compact snow for weather. Our landing weight was planned to be at around 60,000, which is what I'll input now. Let's check the weights quickly. Preferences. Yeah, we're at 60. So VNAV has captured. So what I'll do is I'll just bring back the throttle so we don't go too fast here. flap 35 landing onto 04 left. So that gives us a VREF speed. Of course, because I slowed down, the top of descent marker moved. There we go. Once that switches, I'll start to slow it down. VNAV path. There we go. Just gonna get the yoke out of the way. Sorry for not bringing the yoke up before. Clouds have thinned out a little bit. I'm just gonna tilt the radar down a touch. Yeah, 2 degrees down should be good. So yeah, so for our speeds, we have a VREF speed of 130. So I'm actually gonna mark it at about 135. And then a climb out speed of 151. So, and we'll also come up to our pressurization. So our landing altitude was fairly close to sea level. I'm going to put it right about there. We'll get a better look at the overhead. And just make sure everything looks good. DC control is fine. Anti-ice is on. Engine intake is on. Windshield is warm up. Pressurization looks good. Those lights can stay the same for now. Those are all fine. Not going to worry about those. And what I'll do is I'll turn the fasten seatbelt signs on now. So, there's some of the precipitation. And there's the speed I was talking about. Bring back the yoke for you so you can see what the plane's trying to do. I'm also going to increase the prop to 900 from 850. We're going to be doing a flaps 35 landing. And we'll bring back the power a fair bit more, just to bring that speed down. So I'm probably going to keep you guys through this now. Just because we've got some fairly close. If I run out of things to say, I'll cut it. I'm in the air now for an hour and 28 minutes. So the nice thing about this is that it automatically. Something else we can set up is actually the elevation we can put in as 0, 1, 2. And so this way we can use the HUD on the approach, because I'm not expecting great visibility. And we have it, might as well use it. We've passed through 18,000 feet. Pressurization according to Active Sky next at Kennedy is 2962. Yeah. Hopefully this gives us a chance to bleed some speed here as well. Coming into some heavier cloud now. It's really thickened up, which is honestly what I expected it to do. HUD's all set. Everything looks good to me. Speed's starting to come down. I'll try to level the speed at around 200 knots for the moment. Yeah, that weather kind of looks nasty. What we'll do now is we'll actually start to get the ILS set up as well. So what you can do is you can actually press and hold format on the display, and then this brings up this brings up the ILS. So we want a course of, what's the course? 045. And so then that way when the time comes, we don't have to worry about the course when we go to Blue Needles. 045 for the first officer. That display down. And I'm going to pre-tune. I'm going to put the ILS on standby 110.9. And we're just going to leave that in the standby mode for now. Coming through 12,000 feet there. So temperature is -1 right now, dew point is -3. Surface winds are still 40 at 33 knots. Visibility is 0.3 statute miles. We'll put the minimums in as well. Something else I should be doing. So we're going to be doing a barrow. We're going to be doing a decision height of we're doing an MDA of 230. Decision height of 200. Just to kind of give us some double warnings there. I'm drawing a blank. I think MDA is the altimeter, and then decision height is the radio altimeter. Like I said before, it's been a little while since I've been doing some flying. Alright, so starting to come into the cloud layer. I'm just going to double check the anti-ice. As you can see, my frame rates are taking an absolute hit as we go through this cloud. Props are on, airfoam is slow. Through 10,000 feet. Switches can come on. I'm also going to turn the logo light on because it's going to get dark in here. "13 miles from LaGuardia." I'm still kind of surprised we're not in the cloud yet. You know, then we've got a fairly gentle rate of descent here. Be nice to the passengers before we torture them with the wind. Seatbelt signs are on. I'm just kind of going through, double checking myself here. What we'll also do is we'll set the fuel pumps. Ding the cabin. Here, into the cloud we go. So this is going to be a bit of a fun landing. It's been quite a while for me. little bit late for that call, but whatever. Our rudder trim is still good. You can take a look at the rudder trim. It's going to give her a bit more power. Yes, ISR is detected, but take back that power a little bit. Just about to point out something interesting, but I can't remember what it was now. Yeah, I was about to point something out, and I have no idea what it was anymore. Well then. And then once we hit LaGuardia, I'm going to put it in heading mode, and it's at that point I'm going to run through the landing checklists, with the exception of flaps and gear. So that way, as we get established, I'm not worried about anything. Got some people on the TCAS there. 2,000 feet below us, and someone climbing out? Yeah. Or at least climbing relative to us. What I'm going to do is I'm actually going to drop it to the altitude to 2,000 and put an altitude select. Our go-around altitude is going to be 3,000 feet. So once we get established, I'll set that up there as well. Slow her down a little bit. The only thing about this aircraft is you don't have an auto throttle, so you have to be actively managing the speed. Coming up on the waypoint, what I'm going to do is spin the heading around, something resembling a base leg there. Because it is a vector's leg if you look at the flight plan. Delete that. And what I'm actually going to do is go into zoom in here a little bit. Go into vertical speed of around 1,000 feet per minute and go into heading. Back out there. Yeah, so this is the FSFX weather here. What we'll do is we'll go props full.
2,500.
Bring the bleeds down to minimum. So we're going to level off at 2,000 feet here. Probably a minute, need a bit more power. And once we get at about where this ring currently is, a little bit past our oak, is where I will turn around. Traffic is 700 feet below us.
Crossing. Descend.
400 feet, 300 feet, 200 feet. He's going to go right above us.
Traffic.
Because altitude, so yeah, he's going right above us. Zoom out here a bit. Yeah. Clear the traffic. Let's watch that speed there. we can actually do is we can take flaps 5. Didn't quite trigger there, I guess. I'm actually going to bring the HUD down. Go into my HUD view. There's the call there. Just doing one more scan. What I'm actually going to do is I'm going to move the nav source over to blue needles and switch the radios over. So we obviously don't have the localizer or the glide slope yet because we're not even close. Huge tailwind right now. I have a warning message, which is going to be VNAV disconnect. Fine. Small adjustments to the power. Cut the heading over. What I'm trying to do right now is give myself a very nice long approach, because I don't really want to end up overshooting this. And there's actually the glide slope. Slowly cut it over. You can hear the snow hitting the frame. That's kind of neat, actually. And once I see the localizer alarm, I'm actually going to arm the localizer. And probably even arm both the localizer and the approach. Again, constantly managing that speed. Starting to get away from me there. we will arm approach. Localizer is captured. I think I probably overshot that there. Message. Altimeter above VNAV altitude. Yes, that's fine. It's because we're about 100 feet. Had us at 2,000, about 100 feet lower, which is fine. Overshot the localizer a little bit. No glide slope yet. Which is fine, but what I will do is I will take the next stage of flaps and the gear. That beeping is just because I didn't have the gear before flaps here. Speed, 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 speed. It's going to be a bumpy ride down. Apparently autopilot disconnected there. Whoops. Missed that alarm. Because I had the speed too low, and once you start to stall, it disconnects it for you. Unfortunately, what it did was put it into a hold. Bring the localizer back in. Not expecting to hit the glide slope just yet. Not until about 6.5 miles out. We're about 9 miles out, so let's not let it get too high up now. We are Cat 3 capable, so we can let this thing fly down into itself if we need to. Glide slope starting to come in there. Bring back the speed a little bit. Take another stage of flaps. Flap drag, no idea what that was. And so then this is now the approach mode for the HUD display. Try and keep the two together. I'm gonna get rid of that caution. Flap drive. Don't know that one. Flaps are arm though. Start slowing down for the approach here. Bring the speed back quite a bit. This aircraft is very good at bleeding speed very quickly. .40. We'll leave it at about 140-ish. Very small adjustments to get lots of wind here.
Traffic. Traffic.
Autopilot keeps cutting out. It's the wind gusts that are just making this terrible. We're 1,000 feet up. Alright. Glide slope is back armed. We're a little bit off the localizer. Speed's getting away. Let's reduce that speed. It's a nice long runway, so we can overrun it a bit.
Plus 100.
Can see the ground.
Minimums. Minimums.
There's the runway. We're going to do a Cat 3, so there are no minimums for us. What I'm going to do is take it out.
50, 30, 20, 10.
And apparently we're going around. No trim there. Alright, so we're going to go into indicated airspeed. And a heading select. Bring the heading in front of us. And bring in the autopilot. Bring the gear up. Bring in the flaps a bit. So, that was very much a failed attempt. What I'm going to do is, we're going to swing it back around and try that again. Bring it up to 2,000 feet. Actually going to turn off the increased reference speed. Lower our stalling speed a bit there so that way we don't get the autopilot disconnects this time. Bring this up for now. So at that point we apologize to the passengers for what was a very large bump there. Bring out the MFD there. I think I might have turned the wrong way. What we'll do is we're going to go back to Aeroke. 22. It's going to bring us a long slide for now. Let's not get too fast again. Again, just kind of keeping it in heading select mode for now. We're in altitude hold at 2,000 feet. gonna leave it in flaps 5 for the moment. Rudder trim is a little bit off. So how you can tell the rudder trim is actually this triangle right in here. If you're flying straight, your goal is to try to keep everything in line. So, and the required trim changes depending on power. Because what happens is as the engines spool up, you can actually get quite a bit of torque. And because they're spinning the same way, as you put more power, you'll always be going to the right. So I'm actually going to increase the airframe mode to fast. Bleeds are on minimum. Take the circulation fan out. I'll leave it back in until we get closer to a roke there. There's the rain again, or the snow again. Nice and wet. Seems to be a lot more patchy than I thought it would be coming in here. I thought it would have been just like a constant sheet of snow. But maybe someone in New York, if someone happens to be watching, can correct me on that. Or tell me if it was more like this, or if it was... So we're now coming in. Trying to make it a nice curved arch. Spin her around. Speed's pretty stable for the moment. Bring the HUD back down. What we'll actually do is an arm approach. Almost got it on the localizer. Speed's coming down to 185-ish. Just give it a notch more power. Yeah, so there's a nice patch of snow right over top of the airport right now. Always making things fun. It looks like it's kind of moved in. Bring the ND down now. Localizer's coming in there slowly. Glide slope's alive and coming down. Cat 3 and IMC is armed. So we'll get the once we capture the glide slope, we'll get the. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna drop the gear now, slow her down. Gear is down and 3 green. Go to flaps 10. did the gear first this time, so now we don't have that annoying alarm. And we'll go flaps 15. Pressure is still accurate. We're a little bit to the right of the glide slope. Just gonna make sure that I have the course set correctly. 045. I had it off by a degree, which is probably why that's off slightly. See if I did the same for the other side. This side's done correctly. So we'll start slowing down a little bit more, take full flaps. Slow her down slowly. Try to anyways. Alright, so we're on the glide slope and we're on the localizer. Bring in a little bit of power. Slow down, right? 1,000 feet. We're a little bit off the localizer. Coming back in though. Take it out of control in a second here.
$500.
500 feet barrow. Speed is okay. We're a little bit off.
Plus 100.
Light slope. Light slope.
And my biggest mistake was
$100.
so easy to become disoriented here. There's the ground.
50. 40. 30. 10.
And we're on the ground. Let's just get out of here. $100 knots. 90 knots. 60 knots. There's the cross one, right? Let's see, is Juliet? No, it's not. We'll take the next exit.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to our final destination. Please remain seated with the seatbelts.
Well, that was an adventure.
The aircraft has reached its parking position and the seatbelt sign has been switched off. Please continue to observe.
Let's go pull up some taxi charts quickly.
On behalf of our airline.
Coming up on hotel.
It was a pleasure having you as our guests, and we look forward to welcoming you on our aircraft again.
So we're going to vacate left here. Gus Lock can come in. And then I'm just going to pull off to the side here. Just run through some flows quickly here. So what we're going to do, start up the APU. Bleeds can come to normal. Try and get the demisters working. Landing lights can come off. That can come off. the beacon goes back to red, so we are currently hotel. Just trying to find us on the charts. What we can do is we can bring these in, bring the flaps up. Came in. Charlie Hotel. Is that actually where we were? Just one quick second here. Well, I'm pretty sure this is the way I want to taxi, because I want to come out onto Alpha. Oh, I think I figured out where I am now. I'm actually not too far from where I want to be taxiing. Ooh, A380 there. Probably a static vehicle. This is one of those times where I wish I was running my electronic flight bag. I could see exactly where I was. If I'm correct, Terminal 7 is coming up on the right. Which is where we're going to end up going. Nice 767 there, too. Turn the weather radar back to standby. I think I want to go right here. Start to see. Yeah, this has to be Terminal 7 here. These are where the Jumbos park. Not us. Ah, this is Terminal 4. Well, we're gonna park here anyways. I mean, I don't really know where this flight was supposed to end up going because, well, it didn't go. So it's kind of hard for me to emulate where it went. So we'll just go into stand 4 here. Let's park SafeJet here. SafeDock doesn't want to work. Well, we'll call it here. AP generator is on, so we are good to cut the engines. So what you have to do is you have to feather them, start the clock. No idea what that was. Let them feather for 60 seconds is what it is. Hydraulic pumps can come off. That can come off. Leave those on for a minute. Main bus tie can be tied. Turn the seatbelt sign off, let everyone start getting ready to depart. Anti-ice can come off. Yaw damper can come off. 15 more seconds. I think everything else looks good to be powered off. Alright. cut the fuel to everything. Open the main door. Well, Prepared just crashed on me, so I'll end this off looking at the charts again. I got confused because I was still looking at the 3-1, right? So I was trying to find hotel along here, but I actually vacated here and then parked in here. I was originally planning to park over here, but I don't know JFK that well, so never actually been there in real life. Well, anyways, thank you for watching. Wasn't my best flying ever, but I hope you all enjoyed watching me fail into a storm. And until next time, I will see you later.